And that's the tie-in that we have with like emotion and money that we
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
is like if I have more of it or if everything's buttoned up the best way possible, then life will be great. There'll be no issues.
Yeah.
But we know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be something that money can't solve.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Fisher.
And I'm Dave Fisher. We're a husband and wife team of certified financial planners, and together we make up Team Fisher Financial. Welcome to our new series we're calling And Money.
As both a concept and an object, money is a prevalent component of our world and intersects with so many areas of our lives.
By the nature of our job as CFPs, our days are filled with constant conversations around money. Conversations we think are vital for people to consider and understand for their financial universe and beyond.
Our topic today is emotions and money. Emotions are a big part of what drive and inform our relationship to and decisions around money. But in our experience, people rarely think about the connection between the two. So let's talk about it. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to our And Money series. This is our second episode. As you may know, my name is Lauren Fisher, and to my right is my husband, Dave Fisher. We are a husband and wife CFP team, and we are glad that you have joined us again. If you didn't get a chance to, we talked about in our first episode conversations and money, and walked through the whole reason that we wanted
had a conversation.
We
about
had
money.
a conversation about conversations
Yes.
about money.
So meta.
So meta.
Oh man.
So we kind of laid out our vision, our heart for this whole series, a little bit more about our background. So we are going to kick it off this week. It is emotions and money. I have some opinions about this. Shocker. But I want to ask you, what do you think? Because we get this question a lot. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to money and or financial planning?
Well, the biggest thing that I've seen in my career and we've seen in the last 3 years together is typically people make rash decisions whenever they're confronted with an emotional, like something builds up and they're like, I have to do something now. And they usually make the wrong decision. So when it comes to emotions and money, typically what we've seen is it's a negative thing. It impacts people negatively instead of positively. You would hope that it was positive, but that's very rarely the case when it comes to letting your emotions drive the conversation about money.
I think I would agree with that up to a point, because I think I'd take it a step further. I think there are, on the surface, the mistakes that people make when they lead with raw emotion. But I think the biggest mistake that people make is not understanding their own emotional relationship with money.
Like, know thyself effectively.
Yeah. Because even when we do intro and discovery, when we meet with a new client, one of the first questions, and one of my favorite and one of the most valuable, we go back to that question a lot with people, is what is your earliest memory of money? And it's a fun question. And a lot of people sometimes just assume that we're asking it just to kind of break the ice. But we actually we can glean a lot of information from that, because 9 times out of 10, how people were raised, how money was modeled for them, is very indicative of how they handle or don't handle money. Money themselves. So we did this last week with the question that we asked people, what is your earliest memory of money?
My earliest memory of money was saving up for a little basketball hoop and a Spurs basketball.
Dave is a massive San Antonio Spurs fan.
I have been in the past. I'm working on it now. It's just with kids. NBA is very hard to
You're
watch.
still a fan, though.
I'm still a fan. Yes.
Love the Spurs.
Yeah, love the Spurs. But, and sorry for all my Mavs fans and everybody else out there. Yeah, lots of prayers.
Lots of emotions in that one. Oh, man.
So my earliest memory was saving up what I could to buy a little sports basketball hoop you put on top of your door and the basketball to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a blast listening to Spurs basketball games and recreating the action in my room.
Yeah. Because your parents did a really good job of, as did mine, of if you want something and it's not, your birthday or there's not some occasion for it, like you have to save up for it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still do that to this day. That is very much a mindset.
To a fault.
A fault is what my wife says just now.
It's fine.
I guess it's a fault.
We'll talk about that more in Us and Money. It's fine.
What's your earliest memory of money?
Mine is similar. My earliest memory was I got for my birthday, or maybe Christmas, I can't remember. I got a gift. It was like some Barbie, because I loved Barbie when I was a kid. And she had this like little convertible car, like motorized convertible car that came with her.
Ooh, fancy Barbie.
If in like a set, but I just got the Barbie and I really wanted the car. And I had
the car.
And we all want the car. And it's the pink Corvette, Barbie's got to have her pink Corvette that she drives around in. And so I had saved enough for the car, but I hadn't saved enough for the batteries that you needed, because batteries were not included with this car. And so I went to my dad.
Just pushed it around.
I went to my mom and my dad and I said, I have enough for the car. And then you guys can just buy me the batteries. They were like, oh, can we? And Dad said, listen, if you want to go and buy that little Corvette, great. But you also have to buy the batteries too. So you can either buy it now and wait until you get the batteries, or just wait. And so I had to make a decision, and no amount of foot stomping or huffing could change their mind about my want of their buying the batteries. So
we have that firsthand knowledge of that now. With our kids.
Yeah.
Well, it's what I find interesting is I feel like we both had very positive first memories of money.
We did.
And we've met with a lot of people where their first memory of money is not positive.
No.
Where their family is in dire straits, where they are scraping together or have to go live somewhere else.
Facing eviction.
There's a lot that goes into that question. So while we think of it, honestly, as like something that shaped us and how we save and how we invest and how we basically understand money, for others, it's a way of it's almost like a scraping by, or I have to have more because it'll just disappear.
Or I can't fall below X because I can't go back. It's very much like I do not want to go back to where my parents were or were. And it's sometimes it's not parents.
Sure.
Just whatever someone's situation looked like, but it can create a lot of fear.
Yeah.
It can create a kind of a scarcity mindset to say, because I saw this negative thing and it's my first association, it's my earliest association with money. It's hard to help people come out of that and view it from a more positive perspective.
Yeah.
If the earliest point was negative.
Well, and that's why knowing yourself is so important. And even just having the conversation about why do I feel these things? Because most people don't even want to go there. There's too much baggage to unpack.
Yeah.
But that emotion, as we talked about before, can have very negative consequences for your money and watching it grow over time.
Or not grow over time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this isn't always the case, but it's far more likely in our experience, just anecdotally from clients we've worked with, if someone has had negative early experiences with money, they're the ones who we are more likely to have to talk off a ledge in wanting to pull money from investments when we're in a market correction, which we are right now. People being very concerned, very afraid, more often than not.
Yeah.
It's those people who have that more negative emotional relationship,
Mhm.
then it's harder for those people,
Mhm.
more or less, than somebody who had a positive relationship and has generally had a positive relationship with money to hold on, to look at things more objectively.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important. And not just in terms of market's dropping, I'm scared, let me pull money. Some of it is just, where are you putting your money?
Yeah.
Why are you making the financial decisions that you're making?
Mhm.
And like you said earlier, going to those rash choices. But sometimes the positive emotions can be just as rash, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're really excited about something, I'm a big online shopper. And so what? You know, Amazon comes to our house a lot. It's fine.
We have a box every day. It's fine.
Sometimes
Most
every day.
days.
But it's out of like, ooh, that's cute. That's fun. Or the kids, Haley would look so cute in that, you know?
You should have started with the kids on that one.
Yes. Fine. It does remind me of another piece that I know I had to study for it with the CFP. I don't think you had to, was the idea of money scripts. And it was a guy named Brad Klontz. He's a financial psychologist. And back in 2011, he came up with this idea of people have money scripts. And we talked about money stories last week. And those are kind of similar to what we're talking about. Money stories are more just things that have happened in your life. He's talking about money scripts in terms of, what script or narrative do you have in your head about money? And he says there are 4 different types. But before I go through them, just to see, I'll do a little experiment with you. So
I love being experimented on. This is so fun.
If you were to see, what's that James Bond car that
Aston Martin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you saw that silver Aston Martin driving down the road, someone's driving that, you see who it is in the car, what are your thoughts?
Successful, good taste.
Good taste.
Would likely have great stories to tell.
Okay. In terms of, but like, would you think through?
Yeah, I've already, if he isn't just driving a standard Mercedes or a BMW, but he is driving something like that, I would say he's very wealthy. He's figured things out, and it's not so much a look at me thing. It's more of a, I've done all the right things, and this is how I can enjoy life now.
Okay. So that probably puts you, no surprise, in the 4th category.
What?
So there are 4 categories: avoidance, worship, status, and vigilance. So I think that would put you in the vigilance camp. So avoidance is, people with wealth are greedy. Money is bad. And if you have it, there's something inherently wrong with you. And people have different ideas of like what level is too much. But that's generally like, if that's
usually the level right above them.
Usually, yes. Yeah. Worship. It's a big one.
Yeah.
That's, my life will get inherently better if I have money, because it'll solve this problem. I'll be able to buy this thing. I'll be able to be in this house. So it's very much looking to money to fulfill whatever promise you think it's making to you, and doing things to that end to get as much of it as you can. Status, which is, my personal worth is dependent on my net worth. We talked about that a lot.
Yeah. In our last conversation.
So that one is very focused on, while the worship is focused on like how money can just serve your needs and your wants and your desires, the status is how money can give you approval, power, recognition.
Yeah, it's from the outside.
In the world. It's from the outside.
Yeah.
And then vigilance, which is considered the healthiest of the 4.
I feel very healthy right now.
Well, you're a financial advisor, so I would hope that would be the case. Would be, money should be earned, and savings is important, but it looks at money more as a tool.
Yeah.
More as a means by which you accomplish things, as opposed to, because, like, for instance, the avoidance script, seeing that Aston Martin would be how dare that person have such a car? That's so ostentatious.
I can't believe they would do that.
How dare they?
Yeah.
Worship would be, I bet that guy feels so amazing. I bet his life is wonderful because he has this thing. Once I get to a point where I have that thing, I'll be happy too. And then status is, wow, his friends and everybody around him, or even like, I want people to look at me in that car. You know, so, and those aren't things that anybody ever says out loud,
right?
Unless you're forced on a podcast to answer them.
So fun.
It's never said out loud,
right?
And it's always just the immediate kind of feelings that you have, the immediate thoughts that come to your mind when you see something that creates an emotional reaction. And something like an Aston Martin driving down the road is one that you don't see. I don't think you see every day.
We do live by a lot of really nice dealerships. So.
Well, Jake, our 5-year-old, wants a Karate. That's what he calls Maseratis. He says when he grows up, he's going to buy an Alfa Romeo and a Karate. So we've told him he better start saving his pennies.
Yeah.
I don't think
that birthday money.
I don't think those birthday cars in the Tooth Fairy are going to get you to a Karate, buddy. But we'll see. We'll see what he comes up with. Yeah. So, and I think I mean, I have the benefit of knowing what these are.
Right.
But I think generally vigilance would be mine, especially since every day we see like different levels of wealth and different decisions that are made. And people with the exact same net worth can make completely different, wildly different decisions and choices, and both can be fine. Or neither can be fine. But I do think if I'm honest with myself, there's some scripts in there that are kind of about status. There's some scripts in there that, you know, I look at my car's a little older now and I'm like, man, I don't like driving this car. And I see all these like nice cars parked at the gym or, you know, wherever we go.
Yeah.
And just thinking through number one, why do I care?
Yeah.
And some of it is just how we view money. And I have this emotional feel of thinking that it matters when it really doesn't. You know, that my car, I have a great car, gets me from A to B. It's safe. It's big enough for the kids. Thank the Lord, we have 2 crazy kids. So yeah, and even just thinking through why do you have those money scripts? Is there anything about them that bothers you? Is there anything about them that would make you want to change or
how
relate
you view money?
Like, would you want to if you could rewrite those scripts, those narratives in your head, would you? And why? Do you think you need to?
Oh, what was that movement? It was a short time ago where it was basically get rid of everything.
Oh, it was like minimalism.
Yes.
There was like the Marie Kondo. If it doesn't,
I don't. Yeah.
But no. If it doesn't give you joy, like you throw it away. Yeah.
I read a book about minimalism, and it was striking how much I was like, yes, I have to get rid of everything now. This is my life's purpose now, which is absolutely insane. Because if you get rid of everything, like, where are you going to sit? Where, you know, there's so many things that we don't think about, but I feel like I will be so much happier if I just didn't have anything besides family and a bed and a couch to you know, all of these things that we think we absolutely need. If that's all I had, then life would be better. And there's part of me that wishes, like, I wish I could enjoy money more, because I'm more about like, how do I store it up, and how do I grow it? How do I invest it? We like to give money away, which is great, but it's more just like, how can I enjoy it a little bit more? Because to be honest, like, whenever I spend money, I'm not enjoying it in that moment.
No, you're always just thinking about the fact that the amount is going down.
Bank account just went down.
Yeah, which is funny though, because number one, you are more of an experienced person than I am.
Yes,
in terms of like gifts and things. Like, you would much rather like go to a concert or go on a trip than like get a new shirt or something.
Sure. Well, I do like new shirts, so.
But those are generally more expensive.
Yes.
And so we've had a lot of conversations about.
I'll just skip like 4 birthdays and then we'll just go to Scotland. Sounds great.
I do want to go back to Scotland. But that doesn't, it's not one or the other.
I know.
Just say that to poke my buttons.
Yep. Just a little bit.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. And that, I think in some ways, you're very good at like delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
But we've gotten to points where you've been like, no, we're not in a good place to do this because of XYZ. Or, hey, let's hold off because we need to, we need to take care of some like projects around the house or whatever it may be. But then we've gotten to that place where like you don't have any more excuses.
I know.
Or reasons. I won't call them excuses. Reasons why we need to hold off on this fun thing that would be great for you. And then that's where we have disagreements about like we have the funds, we have the time, we have the support for someone to watch the kids. Like, buy the tickets. Go to the concert.
Okay, fine.
Go to the golf thing. I don't. Whatever.
Let's go. Let's just go right now.
Yeah, and I think I get more frustrated about having to spend money when it's like, for instance. Yes. But for instance, we've had this month, we had to replace a tree fell on our chimney and we had to replace the.
It is a chimney.
Yes. But like we had.
Chimney.
But we had to replace the cap.
Cap and the crown.
The cap and the crown.
Right.
Chimneys have a crown, guys.
It's very regal.
So we had to replace that because a tree fell on it. The battery in your car went out.
Oh, your tire got a.
My tire. Yeah, my tire got a screw in it.
Microwave went out.
Our microwave went out.
Like, what in the world?
Weird. It was an annoying month. Yeah. Not because we have funds set aside for exactly this. Plenty of it we can bankroll. Like, it's not a big deal, but it's so annoying to me to have to spend money on this stuff. And we even had a conversation. You were like, "This is literally why we have these
maintenance
funds.
Mode."
But I don't like that. And I would rather save money to spend on fun things. And when we have to save money to spend on annoying tree falling things.
Yeah. Out of your control.
It bugs me. Yeah. Maybe that's it. It's out of my control and it bothers me.
But that's why it's important to have a good financial plan where you have all this stuff set aside for the rainy days. And we've had a rainy month and those things happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's in conjunction with markets going down, investment accounts.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing, we've said a lot. I think the only thing that I think would be important to talk about is just we love our data. We have some action steps, but there's some statistics that I want to go through because it was kind of interesting and surprising to me. In last year, March 2024, Bankrate said that 47% of US adults said that money has a negative impact on their mental health. Women are more likely to experience financial stress than men. 51% of women versus 42% of men.
That's a high number.
That's significant. An 11% difference. There was another survey from LendingTree that said 69% of Americans admit that emotions have influenced their spending habits. 50% said stress. 44% said excitement. 38% said happiness, and 37% said boredom were the most common feelings. And then 46% of Americans reported being at least somewhat dissatisfied with the state of their finances. I was, that one in particular, 46%. I was thinking, I would have guessed that would probably be like 20 to 30.
Yeah.
But nearly 50% of people saying that they were somewhat dissatisfied with the state of their finances was really interesting.
I think it just shows that money doesn't solve all of our problems like we think it will.
Yeah.
And that's the tie-in that we have with like emotion and money that we
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, if I have more of it, or if everything's buttoned up the best way possible, then life will be great. There'll be no issues.
Yeah.
But we know that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be something that money can't solve.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think you showed me, it was like an article or something where it summed it up great. Money solves money problems.
mhm. Yeah,
But
which is nice.
yeah,
Like,
it is, and we don't want to be trite or pithy
No.
about that.
Yeah, because money is obviously a stressor.
Mm-hmm.
People feel stressed about it,
Mm-hmm.
but money can only solve so many problems in your life.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of times, going back to what we were talking about earlier, a lot of times when people think back to their early memories of money, whether positive or negative, when you think about your money scripts,
Yeah.
Or the narratives in your brain, and just how you respond to certain things. Like me, the lack of control creates a negative reaction in me when we have to spend money on those sorts of things. A lot of it comes down to exactly what you said, which is that really is driven by what we believe money can or cannot do for us.
Right.
And if it's the end all be all, and if it's the only ultimate thing that you are trying to achieve, it's going to fall woefully short, because it can't solve every problem.
Right.
Money solves money problems. And the emotions tied to that, whether positive or negative, are going to affect how you handle your money, the decisions you make or don't make, whether you avoid having anything to do with money. I mean, there are people who just say like, okay, you spouse, just handle it. I'm just not even going to be involved. Head in the sand. Or people on the other end who have to check account balances 3 times a day and have spreadsheets for their spreadsheets. Both sides. It's far more emotionally driven most of the time than it is objectively driven.
Exactly. But what are some things that our viewers can do from here, like practical steps that they can take to walk through this process a little bit more methodically?
Yeah, I think, as I said, in my opinion, the biggest mistake people can make is not understanding their relationship to money, their emotional relationship to money.
Yeah.
So I think people should take the time to answer those 2 questions that we talked about.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which are, what is your earliest memory of money? Write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down. Think through that time. Think through the emotions that it brought up then, the emotions it brings up now, and see if there's anything about that. And maybe it's a few memories. Maybe it's your earliest memory. Maybe it's your most formative from childhood. There could be a few, and just see if there's anything in those memories that might be informing your patterns and your decisions now. And then the other is, what are your money scripts of those 4 that we talked about, of the vigilance and the avoidance and the worship and the status?
Yeah.
What are those for you? Just kind of pay attention as you go through your week. What are the immediate narratives that come to your mind when you're confronted with something that has to do with money? And then think through, is there anything in there that you think it needs to be addressed, that bothers you, or that's just interesting to you? And that can help people start to understand how they relate to money, and look at it intentionally and look at it proactively, and start kind of drawing connections between that and their money choices.
Right. And through that, you can start having positive emotional responses to money, which can actually benefit you long term.
Yeah.
That's a big driver and a big difference in clients that we meet each and every day, is the emotional driver. They've figured it out in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
And how to actually make it work for them.
Yes, that's so true. And to that point, if you have a financial advisor and you go through this process of thinking through and writing down these stories, these narratives, these scripts, I would go have a conversation with your advisor. That being said, ideally, your advisor is the one who's asking you these questions. Your advisor is the one who should be leading out in these. If they're not, then that might be something you want to consider, because our job is to provide expertise from a technical perspective. But if we don't understand what's driving our clients, financial advice is not one size fits all.
Right.
And so we have to understand that emotional pull and that emotional drive for people. And it's why we ask the questions that we ask.
Exactly. Well, I had a great time talking about emotions and money with you today.
This was a really good one.
Yeah.
Next time, we're going to flip it and talk about knowledge and money. Equally important.
Yeah.
Completely different topic, different subject that I'm excited about. And tune in next week, and we'll see you then. Thanks, y'all.